It's great if you use AI to reply to emails, spitball product ideas, or maybe rewrite a few listings. But that's only scratching the surface. The real value comes from creating your own automations, your own AI workflows and agents that can actually do the work for you. I'm sure you've heard the hype, but there is a reason why most sellers never really implement this. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix that, so you can finally turn AI into real leverage for your Amazon business. So let's dive in. I'm sure all of you already use one of the large language models, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, or any other. But the limitation here is that these are only conversational AI bots. So they always wait for our input and they don't really act independently. Even though they're extremely powerful, especially with the right prompt, they can write a blog post for you, they can help you plan your next quarter, or maybe they can give you a great recipe how to bake cookies. But when we talk about building a real leverage, we need to talk about AI automations. And this is area where I consider AI doing the job for you. And I like to see this on a spectrum of autonomy, from low to high. So let's start with a single task automation, right? Where we have some input that triggers the automation, where the AI performs a specific task to generate a specific predefined output. Right? And the large language models can be used for that to actually automate a single task. That is the simplest way to do this. For example, it can be extracting pain points from a data set of reviews, right? Many of you already do this. But if we want to take it even a step further, we are going to level 2, where we talk about AI workflows. This is where we start chaining the automations. Right now, we are not automating a single task with AI. We are actually chaining multiple automations where many of the steps are actually leveraging the large language models in order to perform the workflow. So on a high level, it can look something like this. We have some input, some trigger. The automation performs one task, and the output of that task already feeds into the next one. So we can chain multiple ones in a row. And generally speaking, we will have 3 types of tasks, right? We will have some gathering of data, right? Some data we will then work with, analyzing and filtering the data, and lastly, generating the output, right? So in our example, talking about reviews, one of the steps can be scraping all of the listings, getting all of the data. The next one can be actually identifying the pain points from the data set we gathered. And the last step of this workflow could be using this to create USPs for our listing, right? Something like that, where we have actually 3 steps performed by an AI, leveraging a specific automation to create this workflow. So here I have an example from Make that can help us create these automations, because not all of the steps are done by AI, right? We call it an AI workflow because one of the steps or multiple steps are done by AI, but not necessarily all of them. So for example, you can use Make to do this, you can use Zapier, or you can use N8N to create these AI workflows. But if we take it even a step further, the highest level of autonomy would be an AI agent, right? This is where the AI agent actually creates and figures out the workflow on the back end without us. It means that they can make decisions and figure stuff out just by us telling them what we want them to do. In this example with reviews and creating the unique selling points based on the reviews, we can just tell the AI agent, hey, I want an optimized listing. And he can figure this out. Hey, the best way to do it is to look at the competition, scrape the reviews, analyze and identify the pain points, and then eventually write the unique selling points and based on them create a listing. But the idea here is that this is still fairly limited, right? There are AI agents, for example, like Manus, which is very useful. I highly recommend you to try it, but it still has its own limitations. Maybe in the future, you will be able to tell your AI agent, hey, manage my supply chain, hey, develop products, or maybe even, hey, run my business for me. But As of today, it is still very limited. So what's more powerful and what many people call an AI agent is actually an AI automation. It is a predetermined workflow where we are heavily leveraging AI, but it is not an AI agent that would just work based on the objective we set. And now the main reason why I'm breaking this down for you is to understand that this is all about creating automations. And when we talk about automations, automations essentially amplify what's already there, what we already have. Because the idea is that we cannot really automate chaos. If we don't know how we operate and how our business runs, we will struggle to create these automations because, as I told you, you need to identify and figure out what the workflow is, where it starts, where it begins, which steps can be automated with AI or maybe some other tool. So it really all starts with understanding what the workflow is. And because majority of sellers and majority of entrepreneurs operate in chaos, they will struggle with implementing AI automations. And until we get to a point where you have an AI agent that you tell him, hey, run my business for me, you will have to create these automations instead. And that is why system thinkers are winning with AI, because they already understand their workflows, so it's easy for them to pinpoint the areas of business that can be streamlined and potentially automated with AI. And the idea here also is that most of these automation cannot be easily copied and replicated from one business to another. Of course, you may find some workflow that helps you generate blog posts and you just plug and play. But in most cases, the most powerful AI automations are custom tailored to your business. And the whole issue is that if you don't know how the business operates in the first place, you don't have these workflows, well, then you cannot really pinpoint the areas that can be automated with AI. So for example, if you map out your process in the business that looks something like this, and I don't want to get into too much detail, you know what happens in different stages, what are the key decision points, what actually happens, and the people that are accountable for the tasks in the business. I can then pinpoint the parts of the business that can be automated with AI and give this to my team so they can help me figure out how to set up an automation or use Make or Zapier to do this task fully with AI, or maybe just streamline it, right? I can identify the points where it cannot be done with AI, where it needs to be done manually by a team member. But having this as the canvas of the process, seeing the workflow, is really the baseline to actually then create the automation, right? So all of the very valuable AI automations will be custom tailored to your business. Now, the second category of leverage we can build with AI is what I call AI copilots. And I don't necessarily mean the Copilot by Microsoft. I mean any AI that thinks with you. And the idea here is that the Copilot value, the power of the Copilot, is the large language model you use plus documentation culture. That means the documentation of how your business operates and all of the know-how from your business. Because when the LLM, when the ChatGPT, for example, has access to this company know-how, it has access to your vision. It understands what you want to do with this business. It has access to all of your plans. It has access to all of your SOPs, to your Google Drive, to your Slack, to all of your meeting notes. Well, then it becomes really powerful because then it can think with you, right? Then it's not a regular ChatGPT or large language model. Then it has access to all of the know-how and it can help you put all of the pieces together. Because in most cases, when you use solely an AI bot that doesn't really have access to your information, to your knowledge database of the business, then you kind of have to prompt it well. But most of the times you don't prompt with all of the context, right? Because it can help you. The more context it has, the more data it has, it can give you clearer and more valuable advice, right? So the AI Copilot helps you think, but in order to get the most value out of this, we really need the AI to have access to our internal data. Now the question is, how do you do this? You can use something like Notion AI that already, if your Notion is your company wiki, it has access to everything that's in Notion, like your plans. So you can have your yearly plan, your quarterly sprints, you can have all of your meetings automatically transcribed there. You have all of your SOPs, right? And if you don't have SOPs, just record quick Loom videos, put the transcript there, just putting the data together, feeding it the valuable data. It doesn't even have to be organized as long as the AI has access to it. Then we have the Google Drive, access to all of your resources, access to Slack, everything that people discuss in different Slack channels has access to that, right? The SOPs I mentioned, and also your vision, what you want to do with the business. Then you can come to your AI Copilot, where it has access to this, and can say, hey, help me plan this Q4. And it already knows what was your plan for this year, right? Because it has access to your yearly plan. It also knows what you did in Q3, and it knows which projects may have been postponed into Q4. Maybe it also knows that on one meeting you had a conversation with your supply chain manager that he's getting overwhelmed and he's getting concerned that he will drop the ball this Q4 because there will be too much work. So when I then tell my company AI, hey, help me plan this Q4, it already knows, hey, Johnny, your supply chain manager, you better figure out how to help him because he will be overwhelmed. And do you know the project from Q3 that you wanted to launch these products and the shipment got delayed? Well, you will be launching these products. So it has all of the context, and that's how it becomes so much more powerful than a regular ChatGPT where you always have to give the context, and most of the time you don't give it enough information. So it all relies on the culture of documentation, right? You tracking everything and putting it in a place where the AI has access to it. So my recommendation, what to do, how to truly leverage AI. So we identified the two problems, right? The first one is chaos and not having the high-level workflows and understanding how your business works in the first place. That's what's preventing you from automating it with AI. And the second one is the culture of documentation, that you don't give the access, and the AI you use doesn't have access to the information. So the easiest thing you can do is the culture of documentation. Start documenting. Have your plans in one place, your meeting transcripts, right? Have your SOPs in one place. So this is quite easily done, and it will become more and more powerful the more you use it. And the second point, in order to unlock these AI automations, is to systemize it first and then streamline. The same thing goes for building a team, right? We want to build the systems first to figure out what we want to hand over. It's essentially the same thing. In this case, we are not handing it over to a team member, we are handing it over to an AI. And lastly, what I would recommend, especially going forward, because this will only get more and more important, to have an AI wizard on your team. Someone who understands AI and someone who can create automations for you. It doesn't have to be a full-time person for this, especially if your business is not at 8 figures. You probably shouldn't hire this person full-time, but you should have one person on your team who is interested in this and who can play with it, set up a few automations and be interested in that. Maybe your operations manager, your COO is a perfect fit for that if you are not looking to hire this person full-time. But this will become more and more important going into the future. So that's it for today. If you want my one-on-one help to help you systemize your business and implement AI, build the right team, make sure to check out the link in the description. I will see you next week. Bye.